What's up, you guys? I feel kind of dumb doing this. Okay, first of all, I'm not a mechanic. I'm not inclined to working on guitars, to working on cars or motorcycles. I'm not dumb, but I'm terrible at mechanics. So, if you're new to a bass guitar or a regular guitar, it can be acoustic or electric. And so you're playing say you're playing a bass. If you're playing a bass and it plays, it's ringing out, but it's buzzing when you're like, when you're higher on the frets, it's buzzing. Like, imagine you're playing the bass, and at certain spots, especially higher up on the neck, it starts buzzing. You might need a truss rod adjustment. What a truss rod is like the way the neck curves on a bass or guitar. It has to kind of curve upward, because if it was completely flat or backwards, when you're holding frets down, the string would hit up here and it would buzz. So a truss rod basically allows the neck to either curve up like this and give it relief. So when you're holding the frets, it won't buzz above the fret, right? If you give it relief, the neck comes out like this, and it's supposed to have some relief so the bass can play right, or the guitar. But if you give it, if you straighten it, it'll curve backwards. And if you're playing down here, it's kind of curved up. It'll be buzzing. The strings will be rubbing on the frets and buzzing. So you got to give it a truss rod adjustment. And I'm not, man. Even giving a truss rod adjustment to a bass freaks me out, man. But I did it. I turned my bass left, like counterclockwise, to loosen it. My truss rod nut is down here. A lot of guitars, the truss rod nut is up here. Does that mean it's the opposite direction? I'm not sure. Basically, what I wanted to say is, like, a guitar or a bass has to have some curvature of the neck, like towards the strings, like this, right? Because if you're playing down here and it's too flat or backwards, the strings will buzz on the other frets. That's what was happening when I played Stand in Love with Lauren. I was playing it up here, and because the neck was so straight, it was buzzing on the other frets. So I had to cause the neck to relieve a little bit. If you're new to guitar or bass and that you're having your bass or your guitar is buzzing when you play it, yeah, it's not right. It needs an adjustment, man. If you can't do it yourself, go to your local guitar shop or whatever, and have them tell them you need a truss rod adjustment. Have them look at it. I feel like a retard for doing this shit, but my sponsor Dan, my old sponsor Dan, would probably want me to say this stuff to people, because he's a mechanic, man. He's a mechanic, and he likes to help people, I think, too. And he built up a Chevelle and stuff. But, like, yeah, realize this: your guitar and your bass, they both have to have, like, some curvature of the neck. So when you're playing, you're holding down a fret here, it doesn't buzz on the frets up here. The strings will buzz otherwise, like, and to Stand in Love with Lauren. So, but if it's so far out that, like, if the neck has too much relief, right, it's curved up too much, it's called relief, because it gives to the strings. If it has too much relief, then when you're playing your bass, it's like the action is too far. You have to push the strings down like a mile to get to the fretboard. The action on a bass or guitar is the distance between the strings and the fretboard. If it's really close, you don't have to push it very far. It's easier to play. But if the action's really bad, it's like you have to push the strings down a mile to even get there. It makes it much harder to play. So, like, too much action, too much relief, you'll have really crappy action. Not enough relief, and the strings will buzz. So if your bass or guitar, the strings are buzzing, and you're new to this stuff, take your guitar to your local guitar shop and have them adjust the truss rod for you if you don't want to do it yourself. Or you can read on, like, YouTube and everything and do it yourself. But the truss rod, yeah, it needs to have some relief so the strings won't buzz. But if you give it too much relief, you have to push your fingers down like a mile to even get the frets to work. It's ridiculous. That's all I'm going to say. Well, I'll say this real quick. So when I got this bass the other day, Dean included this little wrench. This little wrench fits the truss rod. There's a little socket in here that you turn. I had to insert this in the socket and turn it counterclockwise to relieve it. But a lot of basses and guitars, like, there's like a cover right here on the top of the neck, and you have to turn it. You put your wrench into there to adjust it. With that, that's all I'm saying, because I'm a jack off of really only a couple of trades. And mechanics is not one of them. I'm a jack off of a couple of trades. jack off many trades. I'm not a mechanic. So yeah, just if your bass or guitar is buzzing when you hold down the frets, it needs some relief, man. And if you don't want to do it, then, you know, especially if you don't know what the hell you're doing at all, take it to a guitar tech or a guitar shop or something, have them adjust it. But if you're trying to play it, and it's really hard to play because you have to push really far to get your strings down to the frets. It's like, that's called action. It takes a lot of action to get the strings down to the frets. It's got too much relief. I figure that Dan will probably want me to do that. Mr. Dan, talk to you later.